I don't believe that in a sense you can truly create music by the numbers. But I mean, I think that's, that's, but you can organize your musicality, you know, and that's what I've tried to do. That's what I tried to. I'm still trying to do.
Now, it's kind of a long story because I met Tad in 1951 when I joined a band right here in Philadelphia that was coming through town called Bull Moose Jackson and his Buffalo Bearcats. And it wasn't jazz. And then later in that same band, we hired a trumpet player from Philly named Johnny Coles and a bass player named Jymie Merritt.
Well, it was a good thing and it was a bad thing. It was my first time on the road. I left home. My wife had just had a first child. And little beknownst to me, this was going to be the demise of my marriage, although we had 5 children. Because we went everywhere together. She was always at the, but I found out when you go on the road, you can't take your wife with you. So it was the beginning of a whole new kind of spiritual. How do you keep things going? And you got to be here, and you're out there, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
When you're playing with someone like Jymie, it gives us an impetus to move ahead, to create things. It's like fuel for the fire, working with someone like that. And what's little known about Jymie? Jymie is a genius, and I don't throw that word around meaninglessly. He's a true genius in his music, and it affects his whole life. But he's never above it all, because being arrogant about who and what you are on a higher level, it fouls the air we breathe. When you would talk with him, he's just an ordinary person. But working with him for so long, I knew the inner workings of Jymie Merritt, and I guess that's why I miss him so much. I'm just glad that somebody is really recognizing him. It's long overdue, because he was a fantastic stitch in the fabric of what we do as jazz musicians.
I always tell a story about how I came into the band, because I can't believe it myself, that I just decided one day to go to New York. It was the 4th of July, and I didn't have anything else to do. I had things to do, but I said, this is a good time to just go to New York and see if I can hear some real jazz. And I went over and I just started walking up the avenue, and the sign said Jazz Messenger. I said, yeah, So I walked in and I went to the bar and the guys were playing. And I sat there and I listened to a set, and then as the set ended, I looked around and Art Blakey was standing there. And he said, hey, he didn't even say, all he said was, you wanna play with me? So I said, yeah. I started in the house. I was playing like 12 hours a day. And we lived on a busy thoroughfare, and people would get off with the transit system and always go by my house. And they'd hear me in there playing. So several musicians started knocking on the door. And out of that, they started coming, we started jamming. And then it just grew into every Sunday, everybody in the neighborhood would come by and we jammed. And I went to a couple of Jimmy Heat's jams. And the guys would get off and they would be restless. They would still be charged up and want to play somewhere. So I said, well, come on by my house. So everybody would come by. And so then they started coming out on Sundays too. For some reason, I was extremely extroverted at the time. I think it was the nature of the music. was just contagious. So all somebody had to do was put a phone number in my hand, and I was on it. I could call them, hey, Benny Golson, yeah, hey, are you doing anything? Hey, when am I coming over? You know. So then we messed around, and Chet came into the showboat, and I sat in with him, and he liked the way I played, so I don't know how Jymie got connected with him. I think he needed a bass player, and I may have told him about Jymie. I don't know. It could have been. So we stayed there for a little while. Jymie does some of his own things, and I can understand that. I should have left earlier, really,
He recommended me to go on the road with Max Roach, so that's how I really got introduced to Max Roach. In addition to all of the many, many wonderful things Jymie Merritt has been very instrumental in helping to bring to the forefront. He played with Dizzy Gillespie, he played with the great Max Roach, he played with Miles Davis, he also played with Art Blakey, Benny Golson, the Heath Brothers, John Coltrane. And I'm just honored, and it's a pleasure for me to be a part of this great man's life, and for him to allow me to be a part of his life, to be a part of his music and a part of history, because he's definitely one of the historians and one of the great, great forerunners of what we do today, and not only in Philadelphia, but all over the world.
Congratulations, Jymie. You are absolutely deserving of the Jazz Heritage Award that they're giving you today. It's an honor to be your son and to just be part of this presentation. I wish I could be there, but as you know now, I'm on the West Coast, and it's great out here, but I wish I was there with you today. You are absolutely the dean of Philadelphia bass players and jazz musicians in general. There isn't one musician that's come out of that city in the last 50 years that doesn't owe something to you, your presence, and your vibe and your playing. You're a forerunner, an innovator. You helped redefine hard bop bass playing with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. You were a pioneer on the electric bass, the bass guitar, the baby bass, when a lot of people in the jazz world were hesitant of electric instruments coming into the music. You were one of the first ones who did it. Now it's everywhere. You were an innovator in that realm. You pushed the boundaries of rhythm and tonality with Lee Morgan and Max Roach and a lot of other great artists. And I'd like to take this time to thank Don Glandon and everybody at the University of Arts for giving Jymie this award, and congratulate Trudy Pitts as well. Equally deserving, equally an innovator. There's something to be said about the rich heritage of music that's come out of Philadelphia, and I'm glad I could be part of this today. And Charles, you may recognize this. That's between me and you. You know what this bass is. Anyway, I want to just finish up by just touching on one little aspect of something that happened when I was about 13, 14 years old. And I was with you in New York, Jymie, and you had told me about something that was going to happen on television regarding some musicians who were going to have a little protest at The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And Lee Morgan and Rahsaan Roland Kirk and a bunch of other cats went to the Rockefeller Center. They sat in on the taping, and they disrupted the taping because they felt that the band should be more integrated, and at that time it wasn't. And shortly afterward, it did become integrated. And all these years later, here I am. I'm in the Tonight Show band. And I'm proud of that, and I'm proud to be your son, and I love you. And keep playing, keep doing what you do, and keep being who you are.
I would have never been a musician. I mean, a jazz musician, in the true sense, if I hadn't gone on the road. I don't think I could have. I don't think I could have pulled that together in one place, because and meeting so many different musicians, and that were friendly and able to and so you begin to get a sense of the direction and musically that you could move, and but to me it showed that there's something about it that is deeper in a way than, I don't want to say school because that's not right, but about instructional in terms of being able to learn different things. I wish maybe today they do in schools. I don't know how they're able to get inside of how people live and move, so that they could be able to work with individuals to, in some way, overcome those transitions that they have to make in order to keep their musical identity safe and sane, and also keep their relationship with life together. You know?